My name is Eddie C, and welcome to My Positive Podcast. I'll bring you positive stories of people from all walks of life, because everyone has a story to tell. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to MPP, My Positive Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Eddie C, and this is episode 20. Today is going to be a very special episode because it is the 20th episode. We're near the end of the year, and I want to, first of all, thank all of you all who have been following us. Of course, the shows haven't been as often as they were in the very beginning, but the one thing I want to do is bring quality to all of you all who support and listen to the podcast. So the shows will continue sporadically, but I promise to bring guests on that you'll all be able to relate to in one way or the other. Speaking of guests, I've got 3 wonderful guests again for this episode, and we'll be talking about reflection as our main theme. My first guest is someone who used to be a member of a very famous group and still is active today with that band. They're going to have a special anniversary concert coming up soon, and she'll tell you more about that. My second guest is a guy who I actually grew up with as a little kid. Our parents used to sit us all in the basement as children while they partied upstairs. And he's a doctor of philosophy and a passionate piano player. And my third and final guest is someone I'm working with who's a singer-songwriter and a very big Disney fan. So if you're interested in their stories, tune in and stay positive. My name is Eddie C, and you're listening to My Positive Podcast. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my first guest is a very special friend and colleague of mine for many years. I had the pleasure of playing on some of her records with the vocal group that she's a member of, and now she's based in Germany near Frankfurt. And I always refer to her as Yeti, but please welcome my dear friend and colleague for many years, Miss Harriet Wells. Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great. It's really great to see you. You don't seem to age. It's like time stands still with you. It's amazing.
Yes, isn't it amazing? Yes, and I'm very grateful and thankful to Mommy and Daddy and some healthy food.
Right. Oh, fantastic. But really, I mean, it's time just stood still, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Still, yes.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I know a lot about you, but my listeners don't. Mm-hmm. And you've been a member of the group Mai Thai for the last 35 years. You got something special coming up that you're going to tell us. We'll talk more about that later on. But can you tell my listeners a little bit about your roots and your early background?
So, my roots original, I'm from the Caribbean, Suriname. A country that a former colony of the Dutch from Holland, but I grew up here in the Netherlands, actually in Europe, because I'm kind of a globetrotter, And one of my favorite countries is Germany, and I'm hopping around between Holland, Amsterdam, and Germany for ages now. I think for 25 years now.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I know you were always a traveler because every time I looked around and said, well, now she's now in Germany. Oh, okay. But now she's back in Holland. So but you were born in the Caribbean.
Yes, of course. I was born in Suriname, came to Holland with my grandmother because I was raised by my grandmother. Like our culture in the Caribbean is familiar with that grandmothers raising their grandchildren. It's not strange. It's a normal thing. So I came here. My father was already here in Holland, and I came here with my grandmother. It's the mother of my father. And I grew up here in Holland, in Amsterdam. Ik ben een Amsterdamse meisje.
You're okay, a real Amsterdam girl, as we say.
Yes.
Well, growing up, I mean, how did you get involved in music?
Involved with music. When I was 10 years old, I got what we call a record player, a pickup, Dutch, a pickup.
record player.
And then and then I start putting on the vinyl on it, listening to the radio and early television. And I started early, I think, at school. I was at school, primary school, and then we had the regular yearly Christmas carol play. And once I told my teacher, why don't we sing it? Like a musical. And I didn't even know that it was the familiar with musical. But let's do some songs in the play. And because I was in the school choir, and then so I started. And my first thing I did was backing vocals for, I forgot his name, an American singer. I was 13 years old. And after that, I became one of the relations in a group called The Free from Rotterdam, a soul group. And that was my first group, let's say, which came great, big, and start touring in Europe with. I was a band girl in the beginning, singer and backing vocals, Yes.
Okay. And at a certain point, you got together with a group called Mai Thai, which had a very big hit. The Number History Fall was the one that was kind of like the one that kind of rocked the world.
Yes, rocked the world, yes.
And it was a very popular group, I'll say some 30 plus years ago. And I remember, how did that group get together? Because that was a production that you all did in Amsterdam, right?
In Amsterdam, yes. Well, I knew Caroline and Mildred actually from the music scene in Amsterdam. I don't know if you are familiar with the Citadel near the Leidseplein, the club.
Absolutely, I remember.
Thursday evening, everybody was jamming, and where also international singers come over when they finish their show, or concert. And but there was a music scene, and Caroline and Millie I know for ages, when we grew up. And her brother, Frankie Douglas, very famous guitar player. I used to play with him also in his band. And that's why I know the girls. And then one day I met Jochem Fluitsma. He was replacing a guitar player in a band. And I was singing in that band. Yeah. And then he said, wow. And can I have your phone number? Okay, I give him a phone number. And once he called me, can you do a backing vocals? And then I called Caroline, just came back from Germany, where she was touring with Precious Wilson. And so we went into the studio. Right. And then the boys asked us, do you have another girlfriend? And we were near Millie in east of Amsterdam. I phoned her. By that time, she was singing with Daniel Sahuleka. She just came.
Right. Yes. Right, because I was producing him at that time.
And she just came to the studio on a Saturday afternoon. And then in minutes, I think, not even long hours, we recorded our first single, Keep on Dancing. And that's how it started.
I remember doing some things in the studio for Eric and Joachim at the time, because we were all colleagues, and also being a session musician, you know how that goes. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when they needed a percussion player, they called me to come in and, to come in and do the stuff.
I know. We met a lot of times. Radio shows, Lost Past everywhere, all places. Television shows.
And of course, during that time, you still had some of the guys from American Gypsy, Steve Clisby, and the cats. Mm-hmm. That was all, because you used to get together at Night Flight Studio at the evening. Remember the old?
We were there all the time.
Absolutely. Yes. And
with Millie.
I tell people sometimes about that period, and that was actually a studio. It didn't start until like 1 or 2 o'clock at night, and we would be there till 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, doing recordings and just jamming and having fun. And it was actually the place for all the musicians to meet, especially if you were in the Amsterdam area at that time. Yeah, those were great times. Those were wonderful times.
Great time. Great time.
So tell us a little bit about the Number History. I mean, how did that come about? Because of course you had your first songs you did, and then all of a sudden.
Yes. We started in 1983, with our first single, of course, Keep on Dancing. And then 84, we had songs like Am I Losing You and What Goes On.
Right.
And then in 85, Erik and Jochem came up with this song, and I started singing it, and then we recorded. And actually in Holland, it was a top 40 song coming up. And we break through, to be honest, in England. When we entered the top 40, we came in on 16, and then we were in Suriname at the time on tour. We got a call, listen, girls, you need to come back to Europe ASAP because that and that is happening. Mm-hmm. You have an invitation for Top of the Pops. Whoa, and we flew back from Suriname and landed in Schiphol. Not even go home, straight to London. And from there on, because everybody thought we were American. Everybody was comparing us with the Pointer Sisters. And then actually in London, we spread the news that we were Dutch girls born in the Caribbean.
Right, exactly.
That made it more spectacular and interesting, so it went up, and this song, conquered the world. Everywhere. Yes, it made history, yes. Right. All over the world. As you said, all over the world.
It made history. Yes, it did. History made his history. So you all were together for a long time with the three of you. And then I know over the years, there's been some changes in the group.
Yes, Millie left early 90s, and we had some changes. And there was never a period that we didn't were busy with Mai Thai. We were all the time busy. Caroline and me basically were the front from Mai Thai, and we were changing singers, but we had guest singers and so on.
Right.
Up till a certain time that I thought, I need to go and talk to this girl because she's a very talented painter, Mildred. Yes, I even have a painting of her in my home, and several artists in Holland as well.
Okay.
Oh, yes, very, very talented.
Wow. That's something I didn't know. I didn't know she was a painter. Wow, that's beautiful.
Her father was a very famous painter also. And I think she inherited from her father this talent, So I thought she needs to come out again. And I went to her and I said, listen, I have an idea. And of course, she was a little bit skeptic. But at the end of the day, she said, oh, yes, you can't do this without me. And we were so happy. And then from there on, we start organizing this. And we have been offered the Paradiso. That's the pop temple in Holland. So we were very honored.
Right.
That we could do the show over there, the 35.
Actually, the Paradiso was one of the places that Prince made his big breakthrough for Europe.
I know. Can I tell you something?
Sure.
By that time, Prince came in Holland. Nobody knew him. It was his first show in Paradiso. And I was singing with a group by that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And do you know that the group where I was singing with, the band, we played actually the voorprogramma from Prince, but he didn't allow us to stand on stage downstairs, but we stood upstairs and he was downstairs. This is the first time in my life I saw Prince perform. Nobody knew him by that time, but he was in Paradiso and I was there.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I said that was sort of like a big breakthrough for him as far as Europe was concerned, because it took off. It took off after that particular point for him.
Definitely.
And as far as Europe was concerned, and of course he became one of the musical wonders over the years. Rest his soul.
I adored him. You know.
Yeah.
I had a chance to meet him years later as well in the 80s. We met again. Yeah,
in
Holland.
Yeah, it was he's now a legend and will be for times to come, with the music he's made and his legacy that he's left behind,
Great
so,
legacy.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know you've got this anniversary. To go back to Mai Thai for a second, you've got an anniversary coming up on the 11th of December this year.
Hopefully.
And it's going to be it's a 35-year anniversary of Mai Thai, and that's also in Paradiso as well, right?
That's in Paradiso, yes.
Oh wow, that's
with
wonderful.
Some guests. Mildred is of course our special guest, and Burke Lewis is there, and Frank Boeyer, because we're related with some artists from the 80s,
right? Especially
Frank Boeyer, because one of his huge hits, Kronenburg Park, we did the backing vocals.
All right.
So, and was a huge hit.
Kronenburg Park. It was also. And so, through the whole Benelux area, he had a great hit with it. Yeah, right.
So Frank is one of our guests, Birgit Lewis, and we have a special guest, and I can't tell you his name, so everybody's going to know who the special guest is.
I won't say a word, so you would.
But it's a countryman of yours from birth. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Wonderful.
He's American. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
right. He is there, and my daughter.
All right. Oh, your daughter's also
daughter. I have Aisha. Yes, I have a daughter, full in music.
Oh, fantastic.
Famous. And she is one of our guests as well.
Oh, wow. That must be a great show. Yeah, I know you all invited me as well. Unfortunately, I can't be there because of another engagement I have that particular evening as well. But I am making the announcement for your show.
Yes.
So I won't be there in person, but I will be there to open up your show for you.
Yes. We're working with your announcement since the 80s. You know that.
Yeah,
we never change it because it's such a beautiful entrance. It's such a beautiful announcement.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And we have been around with that.
Wow.
Even in India, in Oman, everywhere.
Wow.
You can name it. Guadeloupe, everywhere.
So my voice travels around the world with you as well. So that's an honor. Okay, fantastic.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, that's an honor. Wow. Outside of your music, you're doing some other work. And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm a professional nanny, taking care of children, little children, 0 to 4 years, and specialized in babies. And tonight I had one little baby as well, taken care of. Parents pick her up at 9:30. And that's what I'm doing. And it's such a great job and so grateful, to take care of those children. And next to that, I'm a very passionate chef, love to cook. I'm busy with my cookbook. I'm busy writing the book, my cookbook. And I have developed a beauty...
the more cosmetic line.
Yeah, beauty cosmetic line with my daughter. Experience I made over years. How to look, how to feel inside and express it outside.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing as well with Aisha. Soon we're going to have that.
That's going to actually be a book that you're doing.
No, the book is the cookbook and the beauty cosmetic.
The beauty line.
Beauty line is going to be.
Beauty products.
Yes, products. They're going to come. They are actually in the States now for bottling and yes.
And is there a special name? Is it going to have a special name?
Well, my daughter, yes, I am Aisha Beauty. I'm doing it together with I'm with my daughter Aisha. Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Yes. That's fantastic. Yeah. And what style of music is your daughter doing?
Well, she actually is one of the first hip hop R&B female singers that was signed by a very famous record company here, Top Notch Universal. And she's doing very well. Yes. She was in the States and she also recorded over there. But then the COVID thing come along in between. So now they are waiting when it's going to be a little bit more relaxed to do the video and release the song. Yes.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
That speaking about the we're back. We've been talking a lot about the industry. How do you see the music industry today as compared to the time that you were performing? In the early days with Mai Thai and all.
Yeah. Well, of course, this is different. Of course, in each every time you need to work hard. You struggle. You have your ups and downs. Still, also nowadays. But to be honest, I think it was a little bit more relaxed in the old days because old-fashioned here. And of course, it's easier now because of the internet,
Right.
But when if somebody asks me, is there something in your life you would like to do again or over? I would do the 70s and the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for the music, because the music was so good. 70s, 80s, the 80s, the best decade there was in music, man. You know that? Oh, wow!
Oh yeah. Hey, listen, I played on a bunch. I played on a bunch of records back in those days. And
you need to work hard in the music business. Of course, it's changed. It's changed a lot, huge.
Absolutely. If you talk about let's say the 70s, 80s, and even before, musicians were in the studio.
Oh.
You played with a band, you went in with a rhythm section,
Yes.
you recorded together, and it was the heart and soul.
Yes.
And at that time, it was all about that human feel.
And the feel, the soul, the feeling. And nothing was going like, if you had a false note or something, nobody said, "Oh, we can leave it because we can stretch it." Well,
Right. No.
You need to stretch your vocal cord.
You had to sing. In order to get the vocals out. There was no auto pitch happening at that time.
No way.
It was also a period. Let's be realistic. It was a period where you had a distinct sound as an artist. So if it was a particular group or a particular solo artist, you knew it by their sound. And a real idol was somebody who was successful for 10 years or more. It wasn't like a one-hit wonder kind of thing. And that time has changed. And don't get me wrong. There's some good young talent out there, I'm sure your daughter is and all. But the industry has made it so condensed. Let's say instead of being fresh orange juice nowadays, it's sort of like, it's all condensed, and with the social media, social media has made it, of course, possible for a lot of artists to be able to do their own thing and all. But the hard work, the real hard work that a lot of the artists had to go back in those days where you really, before you became famous on television, you had to do it. Wow. You had to perform. And then you came on TV if you were good. And now it's with a lot of the shows, it's like you go on the TV shows and then you get this stardom. But then what happens? You have to still prove it live with a real band. Yes. And a lot, of course, a lot of artists are working, with tape. Back in the day, you worked with bands a lot more as well.
With bands, yes, of course.
And
we were working
bands,
with bands.
I know.
I can remember all my television shows. The television shows we did in the UK in the 60s with the Free, or in Germany, or in Poland, or in Italy, because I was touring around. All live band. Right. We were a 14-piece soul band, the Free.
Right.
I don't know if you do remember.
I remember. Yes, I do.
It was a great soul band, man. Absolutely. Oh, wow. Right. And everything live. Yes. Yeah.
Actually, it's a time that a lot of the younger generation don't realize. And the crazy thing is, you kind of like see it come back in some of the DJs sampling the old music and trying to create this sort of sound. And the funny thing is, artists, you got a new generation that's kind of like trying to go back and bring the pureness back into playing together. Because especially I think, we talk about how the whole COVID thing has affected people, but I think it's been also a time to give people a chance to rethink how they look at life and get in contact with each other, because there's nothing like natural communication with each other. That's one of the most beautiful things you can have. Just people talking, because back in our day, after we finished doing a performance, we went out. We went to another club. We jammed together. Yeah. And it wasn't like everybody sitting at home in their little home studio with a computer and sitting. No, we got together and we played in a studio together, and we interacted.
Don't forget, also, we didn't have all those reality and live talented shows.
Absolutely.
No, man. You had your local talent shows, but those huge television shows, no, man. We as you said, we were meeting each other in studios, midnight. We were living in the midnight, till the more daylight, and we were singing and jamming and playing and making music,
Right. Wonderful ideas came together because you were interacting with each other at that time. And I always say that that's the difference between a home cooked meal and fast food.
And fast food, thank you. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
and this is something that I try whenever I talk to younger musicians, working with them. I say, listen, let's get back to the core. What's inside? Bring that out. We're playing music together. It's a team. Music is not meant to be perfect. It's meant to be emotional.
Emotional. That's it, You can be the greatest singer in the world. Perfectly line it up, every phrase. But if it ain't got the heart and the soul.
Absolutely.
Yes, you need that. You need that. Definitely you need that.
I got a couple of more questions for you before we finish. Of course, our theme for this particular show is reflection. And I would like to know, what does reflection not only mean to you, but also for you?
It had a lot of impact on me, There are different sections of parts of reflections. It could be your life reflecting, or some experience you had, love you had, and also the music you were dealing with reflected on your life, So what I can say is that I'm a very religious person, and I'm daily grateful and thankful with this gift, and that I still do what I like to do with music, with my friends, give me the opportunity to see the world in its richness, his poorness, in his devastating state, and so I can compare it and see how does it reflect it when I'm at home. And for instance, when I'm in Kenya and I woke up in the morning and see all those little children and grown up walking miles to go to the work or to school. I need to drop on my bicycle or the bus or maybe a car to get to my work or school, whatever, I always say to people, listen, it's because of my job, my work as a singer, I could travel parts of the world I never would imagine. If you can say how I reflect, that's the kind of reflection it does to me. It reflected my life, and still, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I always say to my girls, we are so blessed.
Beautiful. My other question connecting to this, of course, is what would you tell young people today with your experiences, try to see it and reflect on it in the future?
Yes. First of all, I tell them, please take care of your social life first. Please see that you have a backbone or a backline where you can lean on if things are not going or being like that what you're dreaming of, or because you need to take care of that. You need to build the roof upon your head.
Yeah, absolutely. And it will happen. We all keep positive. That's what this whole podcast is about. Positive vibes for everybody. And it's always good to have people like you on the show that are showing their love and their gratitude to what they've experienced, And I'm very proud to have you on the show and honored. And I want to wish you and the girls a wonderful performance on the 11th. And like I said, my voice will be there on the presentation for you. And of course, I'll be there with you all in spirit, of course.
Thank you for inviting me, and let me share some love and soul with you and your listeners. And looking forward to see you soon.
Thank you very much. Same for you, and a lot of love to you.
Stay safe. God bless you. Bye-bye.
This is My Positive Podcast with Eddie C. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome a dear friend of mine. We go way back in the days of Gary, now living in Florida, chair of physical sciences in Miami, and he's going to tell you more about his stories. But please welcome my second guest of the show, Mr. Dr. Phillip E. Patterson. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, man. Well, listen, it's been such a long time since we have spoken with each other, let alone seen each other once in a while on Facebook, touching base. But it's great to see you, man. You still got that baby face.
Like they say, looks are often deceiving. Yeah. When you look at the numbers, I'm right behind you, bro.
I know, buddy. I know. Well, listen, we'll get right into the interview. Can you tell my listeners a bit about your roots, your early background? I know a lot of things about you, but my listeners don't.
Sure. Well, I'm from Gary, Indiana, which is northwest Indiana, about 30 miles east of Chicago. I grew up, both my parents retired teachers, just like yours. And that's kind of how we got to be friends, because my parents were friends with Mr. and Mrs. Kennard. And then there were 3 kids in your family. There are 3 kids in my family. We just all had the best time. You and me about the same age. My brother Greg about the same age. Sabrina and my sister about the same age. So we just got along best. Your parents had a big white station wagon. My parents had a big station wagon. We would just all hook up and just have fun. In the summertime, we would barbecue. And your father's birthday is the same day as my mother's birthday, July 19th. So that was always a big time around our house. And, as growing up, as you know how it is, children of educators, it is expected that you go to school and you do well in school. And so that was kind of the way it went for me, because my parents told me, you don't have a choice. You can choose where you're going to go and what you're going to study. But as far as going to school, that's what we kind of expect you to do. And it was the same with my brother and sister. So that's kind of what we did.
Yeah, well, I had the same thing, and only I made an exit via Europe. Okay. And I decided at a certain point just to follow my dream as a musician. And of course, my parents said, if you want to do it, then you're on your own.
Yeah. Well, I think what our parents did is they expected us to be, upright citizens, not living on them for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely.
To get out and kind of make your own way. So whether that means being a musician, going to the military, that's just what they expected of us.
Absolutely.
And that's what they got out of all 6 of us.
Yeah. That's right.
Be successful in what it is we want to do and following our dreams.
I remember in the beginning, my parents were both kind of like, well, what are you going to do over there in Europe, as a musician? I said, I'm going to make a living from it. I remember my father said, well, you got my blessing, son, but, you're on your own. You see, and actually that was a big push for me to be determined. It's been no looking back since then. And of course, no road in life is the easiest road unless you're born with a silver spoon, and then you got all the problems you got to deal with,
And then ultimately you make it work.
Absolutely.
You find a way to make it work. You get out there and you work those gigs, you make your money, you pay your bills, and you just keep on living.
And enjoying life.
Absolutely right. I mean, when I was in college one time, I was struggling so through college. I called my parents and said, I'm coming home. I can't do this anymore. I said, I'll get my job back at McDonald's down on Fifth Avenue, and I'll get down there and I'll just flip burgers. My mother said, oh, no. She almost said, you a lie. And she said, you're going to go and you're going to finish school. She said, I don't know how to do it. I'm not an engineer, but you will go through and you'll figure out how to do it, and you're going to graduate. And ultimately I did.
You've acquired quite a few different degrees over the years. And, you're one of the proud sons of Gary, in fact, you know, and that's always a good thing. And it's always wonderful when somebody from back home is successful at what they're doing. And you're definitely one of those Gary Pride brothers. Folks are very proud of what you've done and what you're still doing. And doing this show, I've had a chance to interview quite a few folks from Gary. And so it's actually quite a success story from our generation coming up. And that's a great thing. And especially now knowing that the city is not what it used to be anymore. How did you end up in Florida?
After I graduated from Purdue, I worked for General Motors for 5 years. Worst job I ever had. Mm-hmm. You know, I was always a car enthusiast, and I figured that working for GM, Ford Chrysler was just my dream job. Man, I got out there and it was terrible. I wasn't street savvy, and so I was trying to supervise people who were street savvy, people who didn't like this young little black college kid with a degree coming in man, they gave me such a rough time. And when I got a chance to get out of there, I did. My wife and I, we had just gotten married, moved to Atlanta. Stayed there. I went through a graduate program, got an MBA.
Well, how did you guys meet, by the way?
Well, we met when I was in college.
Okay.
I was in the gospel choir at my school. Her sister was in the gospel choir. And man, her sister was fine. You know what I mean? She was fine. And I used to always, and her husband and I were very good friends. Okay. And I mean, I wasn't being inappropriate. I would just tell them both. I said, man, your wife is so fine. She got to have a couple of sisters. And he said, she actually does. I said, well, you have to hook a brother up. I said, you have to introduce me to one of them. And they did. And we started dating, and we dated for almost 5 years. And in 1985, we got married.
Oh, fantastic, man.
Yeah. So I was living in Michigan, working for General Motors when we got married. We stayed there for another year. And then I decided that working General Motors was not what I wanted. So we moved to Atlanta. I went to graduate school there. And while I was working at graduate school, then I was offered a job as a teaching assistant to teach physics labs. All right. Calculus-based physics labs. And I said, sure, I can do it. I can figure out how to do it. And I did. And then when I graduated, they offered me a job as a laboratory manager. So I said, my first child was about to be born, couldn't find a job. I said, you bet I'll take that job. And I did. My intent was to stay there just for a few years. 31 years later, I was still there.
Okay. Wow.
31 years and 2 children later, I was still there.
All right, man.
And then what happened, I went into administration at that school. And the school, the powers that be in Georgia decided to take that small school, Southern Polytechnic State, about 6,500 students, and to combine it with Kennesaw State, which was about 21,000.
Okay.
The school became about 32,000 students with the addition of some new students. And my dean told me that you're going back to faculty. I said, no, I ain't. I've been doing this job longer than you've been here. I'm not going back to faculty.
Right.
So I ultimately began looking for another job, and the job opened up here in Florida. So my wife and I moved down here in 2017. And I became chair of the physical sciences department at Miami-Dade College.
Wow, that's fantastic, man.
Yeah, and my wife and I say, we should have done this a long time ago because the weather is great. I mean, it's kind of cooled down. It's been in the 70s today, which is kind of cool for South Florida.
Right.
But it's just, once you get past the shock of the cost of living, then it's really a really nice place to live in.
Okay. Yeah, the cost of living is pretty high there. There's a whole different tax bracket thing that goes on?
Man, let me tell you, we came down here and the people asked me when I interviewed, well, you got a job. What you going to do about the house? I told them what I was going to spend. They started laughing. They said, that'll put you to ghetto. I said, well, I don't do ghetto. So we had to figure out what we're going to spend and where the money was going to come from. And ultimately, the Lord has worked things out. Ain't missed no meals, ain't missed no bills. Don't have a whole lot left over at the end of the month, but it's worked out fine.
You told us a little bit about your achievements, and I know in your leisure time, you got your hobbies, you got your music is one of them. And, like you said, you sung in the choir back in the day. And are you still doing that now, or? Well,
my wife and I are pretty involved in the church that we go to. And you remember my parents making me take piano lessons back in the day? No, my grandmother and my mother got together and they literally bribed me. My grandmother said, I'll give you $5 if you start taking piano lessons. And I was about 6 years old, so $5 was a lot of money. I said, okay, I took the $5. And I started taking lessons, and I took them for about 3 years and really resisted. And then after about a year, I went down to the basement where the piano was. I just started playing the piano. And my mother was like, is that you down there playing the piano? I said, yeah. She said, where'd you learn to do that? I said, I don't know. I just started playing. And she said, you want to take lessons again? I said, yeah. So I went on from about 5th grade on to when I graduated from high school. And I was actually planning to major in music, maybe like as a concert pianist, till I found out that they don't make a lot of money. So I decided, I better look at something else. But
musicians still don't make a lot of money even today.
Oh, really?
I can vouch. Yeah, I can vouch for that.
yeah. But I still play. I played. When we were in Atlanta, I was playing for the church that we went to. I was one of the kind of occasional musicians. Whenever they needed someone to play, I'd play. But that's really it's nothing professional. Like you're doing. I don't think I probably don't have the knack to do what you're doing. But, when I was in high school playing at Robert's Motel, that was just already from off, being little, and then, playing and in the beginning, just basically playing percussion. And then when I got over here, I started getting more into producing and, started to sing more and writing a lot of songs. And it just kind of like took off. It's been a very profitable spiritual journey for me. And I'm still very happy to be able to perform. And I mean, even with the Corona times, I've been lucky to still be able to, make music, man. And at the end of the day, you've got that day that you're leaving, that moment, and you make the best of it. Good for you. Good. Yeah, right. You know what? I admire you guys who do that. I admire you all who can write, produce, play music, and then draw a crowd. I just don't know if I got what it takes to do that. I mean, I can sit down to the piano and play it, but does anybody else want to hear it other than me?
Well, you don't know until you try. And you start to, I always say, once you get adjusted to the temperature of the water, then you'll swim like a fish in it, man. You're natural. You're natural,
Yeah. Well, I think maybe once I'll retire, maybe in a few years, maybe I'll have a chance to do some things that I want to do. And that's one of the things, I had a nice piano in Georgia, but it would have cost too much to ship it here. So I just basically donated it. But just yesterday, I was out looking at some pianos and I'm thinking, I have really got to get myself a piano. So in the next couple of years, I hope to get one.
All right, man. And when you come over here, we'll definitely hook up and jam while you're here, man.
I don't know if I can hang with y'all, because y'all are professionals. I'm just a little old country piano player.
Oh man! Tell me some more about some of your other hobbies that you're doing nowadays. Being involved in the church, I know you're very active there, and at the same time, your family, because you've got three kids, right?
I have two daughters.
Two daughters. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I stay so busy with this job, this hand job. I don't have a lot of time to pursue hobbies. I do like to read. I still like cars, just like I always did. I gotta stay away. I gotta stay away from the car dealerships, because if I go up in there, I may come home with one, and my wife be upset with me. That kind of thing. Because I used to always go to the auto show in Chicago, McCormick Place. I mean, I went there every year, but I enjoy cooking. That's one of the hobbies that I've kind of picked up. With Thanksgiving coming up, I'm kind of getting my menu together in my head and like, what are we going to do Thanksgiving? Because my daughter will be down here with her significant other. Actually, both of my daughters and their significant others will be at our house Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So it's good. It's up to me. It's up to Dad to kind of put this meal together because my wife, she's a good cook, but she doesn't like to cook. And I like soul food. I like it done the way my mother cooks. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, where you coming from? Because I'm about that as well. Because I love to cook too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really we'd have to switch out some recipes.
I'm telling you. So that's one of my hobbies. I do enjoy music. I read occasionally when I can. I do enjoy cooking, and I love playing the piano. I got to get better at it. I really need to practice and get myself a piano work because I listen to some people play the piano. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, but I got to figure out how to do it, figure out those chords because I like playing for the church, but I like to add a little seasoning to it, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Just playing out the book like it is, no, that doesn't work. I got to add a little color to it. Give it a little jazzy flavor. So that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. With your job, how is that in the time of Corona that we're living in? I mean, these are weird times we're living in, especially for education, because a lot of, I know here in Europe, a lot of schools closing, young folks getting infected with with the Corona. And you've got like the two camps, the vaxxers and non-vaxxers. How is it over? How is it down there in Florida?
Well, the vaccine issue has become political. People don't seem to be using their mind, their brain, because if the data tells you that those who get vaccinated are better off, then you get vaccinated. But you have a lot of people who don't want to do that, and you also tell you that if you are not vaccinated and you go to the hospital, there's a good chance you're not coming out. They put you on a ventilator, there's a good chance you're not going to make it. People are not listening to that. So we in academia have had to deal with that. In March of 2020, when this thing first became pretty big, all of our professors had to migrate all of their work from teaching in front of a classroom to teaching online, just like you and I are doing now, by teaching online. That was a task because I was teaching a class and I had to do the same thing. So we all had to learn. The operating system that we're using is Blackboard. So we all had to learn how to use Blackboard, learn how to teach it. We had to get all kind of equipment like projectors and whiteboards and stuff installed in all of our classrooms. And we had to deal with that. So now what we're doing is, in fact, we're getting ready to come out with a summer schedule. And we offer classes that are in class, person to person. And we also offer classes that are virtual. So the students will have a choice and the professors will have a choice of how we teach the class. So we've had an enrollment decrease quite a bit, but it seems like it's coming back up as students come back to school. We had a lot of professors that retired because they just figured, I just can't handle all that technology. So it's had its challenges. It's had its challenges, but we seem to be coming through it.
Yeah, because I know, things have changed so much in the world, man, since the day that we were kids. Growing up, I remember telephone was still with a wire connected to it.
That's right. Yeah, couldn't go too far.
Couldn't go far, and you couldn't be on there. Couldn't be on there long, knowing our parents.
I know it. That's right. And don't be trying to talk to your girlfriend on the phone because the phone was right in the living room where everybody was.
Absolutely. Or there was a second phone connected where they can pick up and listen to you.
They can listen. Oh man. Yes.
Wow, man. It's really great to talk to you again.
You too, Eddie.
I really appreciate you coming on the show. I still have one more question for you, of course, which is the theme of the show that I ask all my guests. And that question is, what does your reflection not only mean to you, but for you as well?
I got to say that when I look at where I am in my life, as far as my career, no one could ever have told me in a million years that I would have had a PhD teaching on a college campus. That just was not in my plans. My plan was to get a degree in engineering and to work in the car industry. If one didn't work, I was going to find another one. And but then I remember my father asking me, what do you want to do with your life? Well, your parents and my parents are both teachers. That's really all I knew.
Right.
So I said, oh, I want to be a teacher. My father said, He said, the kids are getting worse. The pay is not that good. Find something else. So I did. I looked around other things. But as it ultimately ended up, I came back to teaching.
Right.
And it's something that I really enjoy. I enjoy working with the students. And the subject that I teach is it's a challenge to teach, but it's also a challenge for students to learn it.
Right.
So the joy I get is when I'm able to take something very difficult and break it down for the students, and they learn it. And when you see that light bulb come in on their head, then that is kind of what you live for, to see that happening. And they come back and tell me, Dr. Patterson, I took that class 3 times, but I sat down and I did what you told me to do, and I passed the class. They could literally come in my office crying because they're so happy they finally got through this class.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
And that's kind of what you live for, And that's kind of a reflection from me, because you could never, ever have told me I'd have been sitting in this office doing this job. I never would have believed it. But the funny thing is that when I was in college, all the minority students kind of sat together. We all struggled through physics. But then they asked, you talk together and find out what you're doing. And they asked me, what are you doing? I said, you wouldn't believe it if I told you, Right. And I tell them I'm teaching physics. They look at me like, you know what?
Well, my dad taught physics as well as biology.
I remember your dad taught physics and biology.
Yeah, so
I remember.
And I remember we had some of the biggest discussions because it was not registering for me.
Yeah, I bet. Our parents really set a really good foundation for us, all of
absolutely.
us. We had one thing about Gary is a lot of the people that were there in Gary, they were dedicated to teaching. We had some very good teachers in Gary.
Absolutely.
And I got to give kudos to those teachers, because I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now without, first off, my parents being on my case, and then having the good teachers and the community of people, which included your parents.
Absolutely, yeah.
To make sure that we were on the right trail.
Yeah, we were actually very fortunate, and especially if you look back to how it was then and how things are now for a lot of kids. And today with all of the modern technology, a lot of kids feel like, well, I got a smartphone, so why should I study that? But we're actually creating a certain generation of dumbness when it comes to the basic necessities of life. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to, why I started doing the show, because I wanted to do something to get away from all the negativity that we got going on. And I felt that if we get rid of that, if I can even just reach a small group of people, and that takes off and spreads, that would create a bit of a positive energy around there, man. And it's wonderful to have folks like you on the show, some other folks from Gary, and some of my other guests are from different countries. And basically, we're all looking for that inner peace, but also trying to spread an outer peace to people as well. And that's important, man.
That's right.
And and at the end of the day, it's like, well, what did you make out of the day? What did you do that you could, help somebody else in one way or the other, whether it was just sending somebody a nice message to say, hey, have a great day, or talking to somebody, or helping somebody on the street, giving them directions, little things like that. And the teaching thing has been in me as well all these years, because I've taught at the conservatory, as a guest teacher, with the band coaching and stuff. And every day is not only I always see every day for me as a reflection. Is not just what I'm giving out to people, but what I'm receiving from people as well. And like today, our conversation that we're having now, of course, it's evening for me, but this is a great reflection to know that, hey, man, we came from a good place, and
that's right.
And that's a wonderful thing, man.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
I got one last little small question for you. What advice would you give the young people today when it comes to reflection?
So I'm a Christian. Okay. I think there's a lot of prayer in there. You got to seek God. That's one thing you got to do. And then you have to figure out what it is you want to do. You can't just chase dollars. Chasing dollars is not going to work. You may make the money, but more than likely, you're not going to be happy with the career you've chosen if you're just chasing dollars. You got to find something that is satisfying to you and something ultimately that's going to do something to bring good to somebody else, which is, I think, a lot of what you're talking about. And when you, it's amazing that when you do good for others, that it does something to you. Even if you do something nice for a dog will respond to love. I know the students I have here, many of them come from broken homes. But when I sit down with them and just have a conversation about where are you in your life, what's going on with you, and they realize that I care about them. And I'm not talking about just trying to check off a box, but I'm really trying to do what I can to help them. They respond. And many of them will tell me, Dr. Patterson, I'm gonna bring you an A. No, don't bring me an A, bring yourself an A. I want you to do this for you, because when you leave here and go where else whatever you're gonna do after this, you have to be able to work hard using what I've taught you to do well for yourself. I may not be around. So the students have got to learn. They got to give it their very best. They can't just go into a class and try to learn the class just to pass a test. Mm-hmm. Or they can't go into a class and decide that I'm going to let the teacher spoon feed me the information. They have to go into with the idea that I can teach this to myself. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to ask questions when I need to. I'm going to give it the very best I have. I think a lot of students that I run into have lost that. They're just trying to get through just so they can get the grade and move on. But you got to do more than that. You got to have it within yourself to want to learn the material and then move on, and then ultimately to do something to help somebody else.
I agree with you wholeheartedly on it. Those are some beautiful words as well, man. And it has a lot to do with, once again, I think we have a younger generation that's spoiled.
Oh, yes.
Because everything is basically laid out for them. Yeah. And their whole world is based in the palm of their hand, mm-hmm. basically almost 24/7. Mm-hmm. So I actually try to look at the positive side of this whole corona epidemic that we've been going through for the last 2 years, mm-hmm. is that I see it as a thing that makes people think about their life, mm-hmm. what's important, the things around you, the people around you, the people that, that care for you, but also making you aware that other people out there need to be communicated with. We've mm-hmm. So, and that's a beautiful thing, what you're doing it with school. I try to do that via my music, whether I'm performing or whether I'm giving a workshop or teaching, or even with the podcast, mm-hmm. that's part of the message of doing this show, man. I'm very proud of you, brother. Coming on there.
I'm proud of you too.
And getting out there and helping these young folks, and very grateful that you.
But Eddie, you're to be commended too. Like I said, I don't know if I could do what you're doing. I mean, I don't think I have it in me to do what you're doing. I don't have brains to do it. So I just think that you are to be commended as well. You're taking on and you followed your dream and you're doing well with it. So I want to say kudos to you too, brother.
Oh, well, I appreciate that very much, man.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Well, look, I want to thank you for coming on the show mm-hmm. and sharing your, part of your story. But I really appreciate you coming on the show, and, a lot of love to you and the family, man.
Thank you.
This is My Positive Podcast with Eddie C. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my final guest on this episode is a dear colleague and friend of mine. We're actually working together on a special project called Ebony and Ivory, which we'll talk about a little bit more in the show later on. She's an award-winning singer-songwriter and just a great person to get to know. Please welcome my third guest, Miss Sabine Tills. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you, Eddie. Nice that you invited me.
Oh, I'm glad to have you on the show. It's really, we spoke about it for quite some time, but our schedules just didn't work out right to get together. But now finally, and this is a special show because this is going to be the 20th episode. So it's very special to have you on here.
All Definitely. Right. Great.
Well, listen, can you tell my listeners a little bit about your roots here and your background and, how you came to be who you are today?
Yeah, since I was a little kid, I was always singing. I was always playing on my mom's guitar, on her organ. So I come from a family. My mom, she was into music. She played the piano, the accordion, guitar. She was also a singer in a band. She had one single released when she was young. But then before she met my dad, she had another husband, and he wasn't really into music business, so she quit. But still she's singing a lot and enjoying music. But for me it was obvious when I was like 9 years old. I was a big fan of Madonna. And I wanted to become a singer. I wanted to become Madonna, but now I'm happy I didn't. But
I prefer you as me.
Yeah. That's a good thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's really natural to me. Music feels like it is who I am, and I could not imagine my life without it. So I think this is what I was born for,
So your mom was your biggest inspiration musically to get started.
Yeah, and she always supported me. My whole family did, so that was a good thing, because when you have dreams and your parents they are supporting you, that's really nice, and they still are. So, and that that point of view, I'm very thankful to my parents, because there are other stories, and I realized I was very lucky to have them. Yeah.
Do you ever perform anything with your mom together?
Yeah, we did. We did sing a lot of duets of the Everly Brothers. That's where I learned to sing in voices. We did a lot of gigs together, actually, when I was a little kid, and she was singing. We were Bye Bye Love and On the Wings of a Nightingale and stuff. All I Have to Do Is Dream, all these things. A lot of country songs. My mom was really into this Anne Murray thing. You Needed Me was her favorite at that time. So, and it was fun. And sometimes when we are together and there's some family reunion or so, we still do it.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. That's great. That's wonderful that you can still make music together as family, Basically, you explained how you got started with your music and your songwriting. So I know you do a lot of small projects also together with your husband, Derek, who's going to be on one of my shows as well. Your son is also very musical. I think he's playing drums, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. He is. He's playing drums and piano.
Well, tell us a little bit more about how that works, because I know your husband is more or less a jazz musician and you're more in the pop R&B-ish and the Dutch language music. How does that work with the three different combinations?
Yeah, we are very different, but we, music isn't a universal language.
Absolutely.
So we understand each other, and I do respect all kinds of music. There are a lot of artists I write for that do completely different things than I sing, but I think you should respect every kind of music. And my husband really is into the jazz. So I learned a little bit about jazz because of him, and we learn from each other. So we listen to different styles.
Very wide.
My musical taste is very, how do you say it? Very wide. Yeah, it's very wide. So, it works. It works out here as well. My son is into the rock thing more now, and I really enjoy when he's playing and he's practicing on his drums. I'm a very proud mom, because you never know, you never can tell if your kid is going to be into music anyway. It's not because Dirk and I are musicians that our kid is a musician. And I told him when he was choosing to study music, because he's in high school doing music already. So it's like he wants to go to the conservatory after this. But, it's a big choice to make when you are 14. And but he said, no, Mom, it's not because of you and Dad. I don't know what else I would do with my life. So it's kind of he's repeating my story and Dirk's story because
it's in the DNA.
It's in the DNA. I guess so. So there must be something.
Well, that's wonderful that you all can make something, some music together. I know I saw I think it was on Facebook, you posted something with the three of you all performing something.
Yeah, that was in the first lockdown. We decided, we had a lot of time and we were at home sitting here together. I thought, why not? Why not do something together? Because, it is very precious when you can do that as a family. And my son was really enjoying it. Actually, he said, Mom, when you're going on tour with your next full band, I would love to be the drummer. I was kind of surprised, but for him, it might be a really nice opportunity to have some experience with nice stages, great festivals. So for him, it might be like a dream of an experience.
Sure.
Because. So I hope he will not change his mind.
Okay, and you're also teaching at home. You have quite a few young kids that you're teaching. I actually experienced you. I was talking upstairs when we were doing the video clip, and you were downstairs at one point working with some of your students. And these are young girls that are also competing for the television shows. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, how that works for you?
Yeah, I'm a vocal coach. I do that in school, in Tongeren, but also sometimes at home, like some private classes. How that works, I think it's the whole package you should look at. It's like the technical issues of the voice, how to use the voice, the breathing, but also like the pronunciations, the timings. And the personality, how are you on stage? So I always put them in front of the mirror and tell them, you are your own audience. Because you have to be aware what people are listening to, but also what they are looking at.
Absolutely.
So, So it's coaching.
I do that as well with some of my students. And then what I've started to also do is if they pick a particular song, especially if it's something which is out of an era that they're not originally from or that they maybe know, then I'd like to give them a little bit of history about the song, because a lot of people will sing a song not knowing the real essence behind the meaning of it. And it's so important when you're performing a song, not that you're trying to copy that person that made the original, but that you have to put your own body and soul into it and your own interpretation.
Definitely. You have to tell the story, and you have to tell your story, and people, they can make their own story, but it has to go to the heart. And it has to grab you, because you cannot only sing a song, you have to tell the song.
That's right. That's one of the reasons why we're getting together with our little show. We've got a lot of stories to tell.
I'm looking forward to when we can get started with the project, because I really love singing with you, Eddie.
Yeah, I enjoy this. I enjoy singing with you as well.
We did this promotion video and people seem to love it. So let's go for it, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to happen. It's going to happen next year. We'll definitely be on that stage together with Derek and doing some.
Actually, the people might not know, but I've known you for a couple of years, and I was always telling Dirk, my husband, someday we should do something together. And then I saw you in the Voice program, and I thought, my gosh, he is good, And
thank you.
Then it was your birthday, and I sent you like the birthday wishes, and then you responded, we should do something together. I thought, okay, this is my opportunity. Let's grab it.
That's right. Yeah, because the first time we met was when I had my fourth album out, and we came actually to your place to rehearse because your husband and Derek went together. The jazz club. Yeah. We had a gig, so we were doing that together. Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. That was the first time we met. And then I thought in the back of my head after listening to you sing, I said, well, it would be nice to do something together. I like the interaction, and you've got a rich, like you said, you've got a rich, broad idea about music, and so do I. And so it's a great way to fuse together, and both storytellers. So we're able to give the people a story as well, along with the music, and that's a wonderful thing about it,
That's the wonderful thing.
Something else I'd like to talk to you about, because this is something which is, I always have to laugh whenever we get together and that moment comes up. You and your family are Disney nuts.
Yeah, we are Disney nuts. Yeah, we are freaks.
Tell us about
it's
that.
Not so strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. It all started, I guess, when my husband and I went for the first time to Disney World Orlando. And that's where we decided to have this baby. And so my son was we made it. We made him there. I don't know. So he was in production in Orlando.
Okay, you did the whole Mighty Mouse and Minnie Mouse thing together.
Yeah. But I always had something with Disney. Is more than just a theme park or just the movies. It has a really nice, beautiful message, and it's magic. It's always about being the good one, being the strong one. It's a beautiful world. It's a little bit like. It sounds naive probably, but I think when the whole world was a little bit more like Disney, there wouldn't be so many problems anymore. And that's what you are when you come into Disney World. You become again that little kid that is open to dream, that's into the magic thing. And life is magic actually, but we don't always see that. Yeah. And that's what I really love about Disney. So it's nothing, I love the attractions, of course, but the magic is the thing that really inspires me every time I get there. And maybe it sounds weird, but when I enter Disney World and Mickey Mouse is going like this, I sometimes start to cry because it is so beautiful,
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's great. That I see you now. You're practically, your emotions are showing as you talk about it. So
yeah. So we hopefully can get back there at Easter, because that's the time when we normally visit Disney World. Mm-hmm. We have this small Disneyland in Paris, which is also very beautiful. Mm-hmm. But the world, Orlando is like the place to be when you are in love with Disney.
That's the mothership.
I would recommend it to everybody.
Well, as always, with the Super Bowl, that's when whoever wins the Super Bowl, they always go to Disney World. When I've won the Super Bowl, I'm going to Disney World.
But that's a stunt. That's Disney. Disney put on this show, and they got paid for it to say that phrase. I'm going to Disney World, and it's legendary. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. And so, but you go actually every year, right?
Yeah. And I remember Dirk saying to me when we were there the first time, there's people who visit Disney World every year. And I was like, no, are you kidding? And when our son became 5 years, it started, and we were going back every year. Sometimes we went to California, which is also very beautiful. It's the original park Walt Disney did open, and it's the original Walt Disney Park, because he never got the chance to see Disney World. He died before the opening. But yeah, as I said before, Orlando is the best place to be. It's the most magical place on earth, Eddie. You should come with us.
All right. I might take you up on that offer.
Maybe we can do our show over there, Ebony.
Oh, yeah.
Ivory.
That's great. All right. That would be great. All righty. Well, listen, we're coming near the end of our interview. But of course, I have the question, which is the theme question, and it's about reflection. And I would like to know, what does reflection not only mean to you, but also for you?
I think it's really important. For me, reflection is being the person you really are deep down inside. And so I reflect into my music. My feelings are in there. There was a time when I lost the little girl. I was the girl who dared to dream, who was never afraid, who was brave, who was having big dreams. And I lost that for a moment. But after that period, it became very obvious to me that reflection is really important. So be faithful to yourself and be the person you really are. And I think what you give, you get it back. So it's like the law of attraction or something. But when you are good to other people, I don't think there's many things that can go wrong. So and every moment is a new moment. So you have the chance to be that person you want to be and the person you really are every second of the day. So it's a choice you make. And I also like people who reflect to me, and that's something that's really nice when I'm singing with you, because sometimes without words, I think, he knows what I feel or what I mean. And that's the most beautiful thing in life. So let's all reflect positivity and keep
Absolutely.
the negative feelings on the side.
Exactly. Ditto, my dear friend. I really, it's always a pleasure working together. And it's so cool that you're able to create this synergy that projects out to others. That's so important. One small question that before we go is, knowing your idea about reflection to you and for you and what it means for you as well, what would you tell for example, your students or young people out there listening to this podcast about how they should reflect in life, especially in these difficult times?
Never lose faith and don't believe what others tell you. So don't think, what are other people thinking about me, because that's the mistake I made in my life. And you have to stay to your source, to who you really are. And when you forget it for a while, maybe you should go back into your childhood and look, what were my dreams over there? Because kids, they believe in their dreams. We go back to the Disney thing. That's the message Disney also has for us. And
when you wish upon a star.
Yeah. But it is also true, makes no difference who you are. Stay faithful to who you are and never stop believing, because what does not happen today can happen tomorrow, and things do change all the time. So keep the faith.
All right. Well, on those words, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing some of your story and experiences, with me and my listeners. And I wish you and the family a lot of love and luck in the future, and looking forward to our show.
Thank you.
Being out there, and I guess we'll be starting somewhere around the summer to give the first tryouts, and hopefully we'll see some of you all over here in Europe in the theaters. So looking very much for the...
Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for listening to your listeners, and thanks for having me in the show.
Okay. And you take care, and a lot of love to you, sweetie.
Bye-bye.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is MPP, and I'm Eddie C. Wow. I hope you enjoyed my 3 guests and their ideas about reflection. I'd like to give my own personal idea about reflection as well. This is the end of the year, and I always think around this time of year we all reflect in one way or the other. It's been a very difficult time For practically everyone, one has had more difficult times than the other. A lot of it due to the pandemic we've gone through these last couple of years. But I do believe in positivity and positive energy. So when you reflect the coming time over the holiday season, think about this. Tomorrow is always a chance to make it better than yesterday. And on those words, here's my quote. Reflection. From the time you could realize your surroundings as a child, the influences growing up as you discover adulthood, richness and development of your senses for different art forms, be it music, food, or fantasy world, where your heart can grace the youthfulness inside your soul. Those sometimes small but everyday reflections that life brings your way. Well, that's all for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. But before I go, I'd like to thank my three guests, Harriet Wells, Dr. Phillip E. Patterson, and Sabine Tills, for coming on and sharing their stories about what reflection means to them. And remember, when you wake up tomorrow and you look in that mirror, see a positive reflection of yourself, and your day will be fine. Until next time. You can find me on all platforms like Spotify, Android, and Apple. On Facebook, look for My Positive Podcast, and my website is mypositivepodcast.com. You can also contact me via my website or Facebook. A very special thanks to my technical producer, Iswan. This show is a production by Antwerp Podcast Service. My name is Eddie C., and this was MPP, My Positive Podcast. Tune in next week and stay positive.